Good evening. Police made a quick arrest and recovered a weapon, but it doesn't make it any less frightening. A man gunned down while on board this GO bus.
The city's first homicide of the year taking place last night at the Yorkdale GO terminal. CTV's Janice Golding is live tonight with more. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, Toronto police are trying to reassure the public after a man was shot on a bus here at the Yorkdale GO bus terminal yesterday evening. Handcuffs emerges from the Yorkdale TTC subway station and then is escorted to a waiting police cruiser. That arrest also posted on social media after passersby in what was a very busy area at the time recorded what they were seeing.
Yeah, I can tell you that he fled the scene on foot towards the subway.
Homicide investigators say they were searching for a man in his late 20s wanted for brazenly shooting another man aboard a GO bus around 7 p.m. When they arrived,
officers located a male suffering from a gunshot wound. Sadly, that male has succumbed to his injuries.
A Metrolink spokesperson confirms police were on scene at Yorkdale GO following an incident last night around 7 p.m. The remaining passengers and GO staff were safely removed from the bus. The station has reopened and service has resumed. All morning, the bus in question remained at the GO bus terminal and would not be released from the scene until mid-afternoon, where, flanked by police cruisers, it was taken away for forensic examination.
It's terrible. I travel on the GO bus all the time.
Are you shocked?
Yes, on a bus. It's terrible. You can't go anywhere anymore.
Police are trying to reassure the public, saying officers made a quick arrest and were also able to recover a gun. However, GO patrons say they're very shaken by what happened.
It's not safe here anymore.
Scary, scared, honestly, terrified. It's not safe, you know. Anywhere like here in Toronto now, it's not safe, I'm telling you.
While police have not said this was a targeted attack, nor have they released a possible motive, they say there are no outstanding suspects. Police are now asking anyone who was around the GO bus terminal yesterday at 7 p.m. to contact them or Crime Stoppers anonymously so they can help collect evidence. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
All right, thank you, Janice. A man's been charged with manslaughter in connection with a deadly assault. Last week, Sunday, police were called to the Front and University area for reports of a fight. They say the suspect and victim were involved in a verbal altercation which turned physical. The victim, identified as 34-year-old Luke Kellett-Smith, was knocked to the ground and lost consciousness. He was taken to hospital where he died last Tuesday. 30-year-old Bernard O'Neill has been charged with manslaughter. A woman in her 70s has been rushed to hospital after a stabbing late this afternoon.
It happened at a home near Bloor and Dundas. CTV's Allison Hurst is live at the scene tonight with the latest. Allison.
Michelle, police still have that house sealed off as they conduct their investigation inside. Now, the details are still quite thin at this point, but here is what we know. It all happened at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police say a woman in her 70s was stabbed by a suspect at this address on Jerome Street near High Park. Paramedics say the woman was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Police say the suspect, also in his 70s, was arrested. He suffered non-life-threatening injuries and was also taken to hospital. Officers have not shared what the relationship between the two may be at this point. And we have been speaking with neighbors trying to get a little bit more sense of what may have been going on. Nobody really all that ready to talk to us on camera at this point. We've seen officers, though, going door to door and speaking with neighbors as well. But again, not much more has been released. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Allison. Also tonight, terrifying moments at a Scarborough trampoline park after a ride on a zip line goes horribly wrong. You'll hear from the boy sent to hospital after a harrowing fall. But first, we take a live look outside on what has been a wintry day across the GTA. Looking quite lovely there down at Nathan Phillips Square, but certainly nothing like getting back to work in school with a special weather statement in the mix. Wasn't fun for many people this morning. Jessica Smith is here. She's been monitoring the conditions all day. What are you seeing, Jess?
Michelle, it was a tale of two forecasts. This morning we had all that messy mix. This afternoon, a different story, much clearer, but we are just waiting for the next system to come through. A Colorado low set to bring a messy mix for the second half of our day tomorrow. So I guess enjoy this break now while you can and maybe get out and go skating at Nathan Phillips Square. The bulk of that snow pushing its way east as we head through the rest of our evening, but we are seeing now some freezing rain warnings popping up through Goderich over towards Hamilton. Nothing for Toronto yet. We are under a special weather statement for the possibility of freezing rain, but because it's going to be so mild, we're looking at more in the way of a messy mix, a rain snow mix, even some ice pellets on and off throughout the day. For now, though, we are mild right across the board with the exception of areas kind of east of Peterborough. They're still holding on to some really chilly air. Through the islands and through Pearson, we're holding on at about 1 or the freezing mark tonight. -5 sitting well above that seasonal mark, and this warming trend continues. Coming up, I'll break down your full forecast. But right now, it's back over to Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Jess. A family is demanding answers tonight after their son was injured falling from a zip line at a Scarborough trampoline park over the weekend.
The entire incident captured on camera. The video is shocking, but the good news is the child is okay and recovering at home. CTV Sean Leathong is live tonight. And Sean, you spoke with the boy and his parents about this incredible ordeal.
I did, Nathan and Michelle, and 11-year-old Raman Azizi is at home. He is recovering, but he was afraid when he fell that he said he might die, in fact. His parents furious after what happened, wondering why there wasn't more support and why staff didn't help afterwards. Raman Azizi was testing his harness before riding a zip line this past Saturday. When his time came, a terrifying moment. The harness would fail, Raman falling several meters to the ground. His mother screaming, the young boy would lay on the concrete until help arrived.
I was worried about passing away.
Raman was lucky, now lying in bed with some internal bruising and more on his back. The 11-year-old is recovering.
It feels like my body has cramps and my back is still hurting.
His mother breaking down in tears when talking about the fear.
I have no words to explain you.
His father wants answers.
How did that thing can fail? And they have no safety nets underneath. They have no padding underneath.
Raman was at Aero Sports Parks in Scarborough, a place that offers trampolines, go-karting, miniature golf, and an obstacle course with a zip line at the end. Ahmed Sadr says his son, who's living with autism, loves trampoline parks and was especially excited by the obstacle course. Sadr says they signed a waiver on entry, but when they got inside, there was only one staff member monitoring the course and no one testing the kid's harness before the zip line.
They did not even stop the zip lines going. They did not stop any other activities. They did not come to ask like what's going on, ask for water, ask for help.
He says other concerned parents called 911, staying with the family until an ambulance arrived, while staff did nothing.
There were bystanders. There were some other parents who started calling. No staff came in even until we left that facility.
Raman was taken to Sick Kids by ambulance, where he spent the night being looked after, luckily with only bruising. Sadr can only wonder how much worse it could have been when you consider how the obstacle course runs several meters above the entire park.
Imagine if the kid fall on the go-kart track and the go-kart runs over it.
We reached out to Aero Sports Parks today, and they sent a statement saying, "We are aware of the incident and it is currently under review with our insurers and legal counsel. Given that this involves a minor, we're not providing interviews or comments at this time."
How's the pain? Is still the same?
Now, as they look after their son, Ahmed and Mona have filed a police report and are hoping something is done. They also want parents to be aware.
People try to find a safe environment where the kids can enjoy, and you cannot come back on a stretcher.
Sadr says they left belongings at Aero Sports, but they say they still have not been contacted by the company, not even to offer an apology. Now, there are several Aero Sports locations throughout southern Ontario, and the parents here want it to be known that they want to know what could happen, what could be prevented in the future, but they said they still haven't heard back. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Sean. Still ahead, the tow truck wars could be heating up again after several fires were set in Brampton. The latest on a suspected arson investigation coming up. But first, Doug Ford addressed the media today for the first time this year, and the premier says he plans to go ahead with punishing a popular liquor company for moving some production to the U.S.
Ford says he's going ahead with plans to pull Crown Royal from store shelves here in Ontario after the bottling plant closes in February. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight with more. Siobhan.
Well, the union representing the workers at that plant in Amherstburg applauds this move. They only wish the Premier had acted sooner and maybe pulled even more best-selling liquor off the shelves.
This is what I think about Crown Royal.
A stunt to grab attention and maybe change minds, trying to prevent the shutdown of a Diageo facility bottling Crown Royal in Amherstburg, about 30 kilometers south of Windsor. Months later, the Premier promising to pull Crown Royal off the shelves of the LCBO for good in a matter of weeks.
As soon as they close that plant, so you better stock up there, buddy.
The shutdown set for the end of February, a disruptor for 200 families. Dozens of workers have already moved on.
That's all they've known for most of their lives is working at Diageo, like their families. So it's heartbreaking.
The union president would have liked Ontario to take Crown out of circulation sooner, even though it's still being mashed, distilled, and aged in Quebec and Manitoba.
It's all a bunch of BS. It's all going to Alabama, mark my words.
Pointing to a paused Diageo distillery planned for southern Ontario.
If you have your #1 customer spending hundreds of millions of dollars, why would you try to hurt that customer?
Doug Ford has put on ice a threat to stop the sale of all Diageo products, something Dagnolo says would have hit harder.
You take Bailey's off the shelf at Christmas, I told them it's their #1 selling product.
The future of the bottling facility and its workers up in the air, listed for sale last month, with an appeal to American distillers.
You want to sell your bourbon here, here's an opportunity where you can bottle it here.
It's been a common refrain in Doug Ford's political life.
Anything you ever need, feel free to reach out, 647.
Giving out his personal cell number while at work. A 3-judge panel says records from that personal phone related to government business must be made public.
When he is deliberately using his personal cell phone for government business, that's a serious problem for government accountability and transparency, and we're glad that the court agreed with us.
Ford intends to appeal, citing the privacy of those who reach out to him.
Do you want your personal records about your health care and your family and everything else going public? There has to be confidentiality.
We were very clear to the court that we're not looking for those kinds of phone calls.
Opposition parties accuse the Premier of trying to hide by continuing this fight in court.
No one influences Doug Ford, I can assure you that.
Well, it doesn't sound like the Premier is going to change his ways. Today he says he gives out his personal cell number to be able to get the pulse of the people. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. The Premier was also asked about the new reality for thousands of public sector workers across the province.
Now required to be back in the office full time, but as CTV's Rahim Ladani reports, some of the workers forced back are pushing back.
Work-life balance. Work-life balance.
For the first time in more than 5 years since before the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of civil servants across the province are being forced back into the office 5 days a week.
It almost feels like a punishment having to come in here for no reason when I can do the work at home.
Work-life balance.
Part of the group being mandated back are these Ontario Health at-home workers in Mississauga. They're spending their lunch hour pushing against the Ford government's policy. They want to continue the hybrid model, saying productivity was high while working from home, and being back in person full-time could actually negatively impact patient care.
There's not enough space. It's noisy. We're on the phone. Where I work is an ACT care center. It's loud. When you're dealing with seniors especially, you've got to talk loud.
The Premier says his government is working on making sure there is enough office space as employees return full-time, but that it's time to bring people back so they can be mentored and collaborate.
It's great to get everyone back to work like every other normal citizen. You go out there and you show up 5 days a week.
However, not everyone agrees.
We communicate with each other effectively as we've always done, so it doesn't change. I don't see where the collaboration has changed with us working with our co-workers.
Since the province first announced this policy last August, the Ontario Public Service Employees Union says around 10,000 public servants have applied for alternative work arrangements due to medical reasons and a lack of available daycare spots. But Doug Ford says this is about being fair to all Ontario workers.
Just imagine if you're a healthcare worker, you didn't get Christmas off with your family, or a police officer, a firefighter, a paramedic. Like, a lot of these people are working extremely hard. And all we're saying is just come back to the office like everyone else.
This rally is not a work stoppage, but the broader question over the coming days, weeks, and months will be to see how this government policy is balanced with both employee morale and, most importantly, patient care. Rahim Ladani, CTV News, Toronto.
Peel police are investigating after several tow trucks were set on fire at an auto yard in Brampton early this morning.
No injuries were reported, and investigators are now trying to track down the suspects. CTV's John Musselman reports.
Flames lit up the night sky over this truck yard in Brampton. A suspected arson, Peel police say, after several tow trucks were set on fire around 3:30 this morning. The scene is on Rutherford Road, just north of Steeles. Police say as many as 5 people were seen fleeing the area after the fire was started. There were no injuries reported, but as many as a dozen tow trucks were damaged. One day earlier, police responded to another tow truck fire not far away. It happened on Queen Street and Rutherford Road around 1:30 a.m. It is also being investigated as an arson. At this point, police say it's too early to say if the cases are linked.
We're doing everything that we can to hold these individuals to account, which is why we're reaching out to the public to get as much information as we can. But again, it's too early to say that they're related. However, I do see how it's concerning.
These 2 suspected arson cases involving tow trucks comes just 7 months after Peel police held a major news conference announcing that 18 people were arrested in a criminal probe called Project Outsource. It involved allegations of extortion and tow truck industry-related violence. More than 100 criminal charges were laid.
Police say this is an ongoing investigation. If you notice anything suspicious last night, you're asked to call Peel Regional Police. John Musselman, CTV News in Brampton.
A man is fighting for his life in hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Brampton. It happened shortly after 10:30 this morning near McLaughlin and Charolais Boulevard. The victim was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver involved remained at the scene. Police are trying to figure out how it happened and whether charges will be laid. And police are searching for a driver involved in a hit-and-run near Queen's Park. Police say a pedestrian was struck by a vehicle near St. Joseph Street and Queen's Park Crescent around 8:40 last night. The victim was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Police say the vehicle involved is described as a dark gray, newer model SUV. They're asking anyone with information to come forward.
In New York, Venezuelan authoritarian leader Nicolas Maduro appeared in a federal courtroom today on charges of narco-terrorism.
This after the United States captured him in a surprise military attack over the weekend. And now Donald Trump is putting other countries on notice. CTV's Joy Malbin reports.
Dramatic images show Nicolas Maduro, who days ago was Venezuela's president, handcuffed and escorted by police officers. He and his wife Celia Flores charged in the U.S. with narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation, and weapons offenses. Maduro defiantly told the judge in Spanish, "I was captured at my home in Caracas, Venezuela. I am innocent. I am not guilty. I am still the president of my country." Maduro's lawyer attacked the U.S. military raid, the abduction and arrest, as many question, was this even legal? Demonstrators lining the courthouse. Some celebrated President Trump for bringing down a brutal dictator. Others pleaded no more war. At the UN Security Council, several nations condemned the Trump administration's military raid, calling it a breach of international law.
I remain deeply concerned that rules of international law have not been respected. The Charter enshrines the prohibition of the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state.
Still, President Trump's not backing down.
We're going to run it, fix it. We'll have elections at the right time.
Last night, insisting America will tap into Venezuela's rich oil supply, warning Maduro's acting president Delcy Rodriguez to cooperate or else.
If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
And boldly issuing new threats against Mexico, Greenland, and Colombia.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long.
The White House claims its actions are justified and will brief lawmakers tonight. As for Maduro, he's claiming diplomatic immunity, and this will not be a swift trial. He's back in court March 17th. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
The suggestion Trump's actions are about getting control of Venezuela's oil reserves, and the fact he is openly threatening the sovereignty of other countries came into sharp focus in Canada today. CTV's Rachel Aiello has those details.
Canadian oil stocks slid today as the energy market absorbed the potential implications of U.S. President Donald Trump tapping Venezuelan oil reserves.
What this says is Trump views oil as super important, which I think as Canadians we should recognize. We have a big oil industry and very big reserves, but it also says that we got to be very careful.
Ex-leader Nicolas Maduro's weekend capture and Trump musing of more military action is sparking international concern.
It's by no means all about the oil. It's about someone defying an American president. That's a pretty powerful example for those who are left.
Canada is no stranger to Trump's annexation threats, and Prime Minister Mark Carney's response so far has been careful. But the president's former national security advisor says he doesn't think this country is at risk.
I think any kind of move against Greenland or even more far-fetched against Canada would be the end of the NATO alliance. It would do incalculable damage, not just to the United States, but to the entire Western world.
Carney spoke to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado on Sunday, pledging Canada's support for a peaceful, negotiated, and Venezuelan-led transition process. Critics in this country say Trump's actions are exactly why Canada increasing its economic, military, and diplomatic independence is essential.
Internally, I think this boosts the obligation for Canada to get very serious, for Parliament to get very serious about diversifying our trade exports beyond the irrational administration of the United States.
Global Affairs is urging Canadians to avoid all travel to Venezuela, citing the unstable political situation. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Danish government says an American takeover of Greenland would amount to the end of the NATO military alliance and warns Donald Trump should be taken seriously. Copenhagen insists it and its semi-autonomous territory will not accept being threatened this way. Greenland's prime minister says his country cannot be compared to Venezuela and urged his people to stay calm and united. Meanwhile, the Mexican president restated her opposition today to the U.S. military action in Venezuela. Claudia Sheinbaum said Mexico categorically rejects intervention in the internal affairs of other countries. She added Mexico previously agreed with the Trump administration to collaborate and coordinate while respecting each country's sovereignty.
Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived in Paris for a meeting with Ukraine's European allies. Carney's there to join a gathering of the so-called Coalition of the Willing. Its focus will be to try and accelerate a negotiated peace plan for Ukraine and security agreements to prevent Russia from invading again if a deal is reached. The talks in the French capital are expected to include the leaders of about 30 countries. Carney will also speak with the Secretary General of NATO.
Meanwhile, Canada's former finance minister has a new job working for the Ukrainian government. President Volodymyr Zelensky posted a message on X that reads in part, "Today I appointed Chrystia Freeland as an advisor on economic development. Chrystia is highly skilled in these matters and has extensive experience in attracting investment and implementing economic transformations." Freeland has Ukrainian ancestry and has long expressed her support for the country during its war with Russia. Hours after today's announcement, she said she is stepping down as the Prime Minister's special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine and will resign as a member of Parliament in the coming weeks.
The Catholic Holy Year ends tomorrow, and the Vatican's calling it a success. About 33.5 million pilgrims traveled to Rome in 2025, a record number of yearly visitors. Holy years or jubilees typically occur every quarter century and are considered a time of peace and forgiveness. Catholics can earn a remission of sins and see the Pope at special audiences throughout the year. For the city, it's also a chance to carry out public works projects in preparation for the year-long event.
In Romania, people gathered at the River Danube today for a traditional Epiphany event. An archbishop threw a cross into the water, which was quickly followed by a group of boys jumping in. They all swam as fast as they could, each looking to be the first to retrieve the cross. The one who did says he hopes it will bring him a blessing and a good 2026. The archbishop called for more peace and understanding for everybody as locals gathered to pray for a good year ahead.
Coming up, new year, new residential recycling collection. But some households report their homes were missed. We sort through the situation, still ahead.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, the Consumer Electronics Show starts tomorrow in Las Vegas, but we have a sneak peek at what's new. AI is front and center, along with plenty of robots, and the latest in TVs that are almost wallpaper thin. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
And after a fairly seasonal day yesterday, we begin an above seasonal trend today, and that continues right throughout the first full week of January. So if you're heading out this evening, it's relatively clear and quite mild, but that all changes, at least when it comes to the conditions tomorrow. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
As we welcome in this new year, tech companies from around the world have descended on Las Vegas to showcase the latest in consumer products.
The Consumer Electronics Show starts tomorrow, but companies were showing off their latest robots, TVs, and other technology today. Pat Foran has a preview on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Well, CES is the largest tech showcase in the world, so companies are there trying to make a splash and get attention. While AI is dominating much of the conversation, there are still plenty of other gadgets and gizmos to see. More than 140,000 people from 150 countries are expected to attend this year's Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. It's clear what one of the biggest tech shifts is expected to be.
I think the trend here and everywhere the last 2 years has been AI.
AI is going to be everywhere. I'm so excited about robotics.
AI is being incorporated into older traditional products as well as newer ones with promises to make life easier.
It helps you make decisions in life. You put in the facts, and it just comes back and solves problems.
As always, robots take center stage, whether it's robotic toys for children, a chess game to keep you company, or personal robots for companionship or home security.
The basic function of this is like a humanoid home monitoring camera. You know, there is a camera on the face of it.
If you're too busy to cook, let a robot do it.
Nosh is a robo-chef that cooks 500 plus dishes across cultures and cuisines automatically. So it helps users to eat healthy, homely dishes every day.
There are body scanners that let you monitor your health.
Do you want to get that data to make the changes in your life to live longer?
As always, the latest in television technology is rolled out at the show. This year, LG has a new wallpaper TV. It's ultra thin, only 9 millimeters thick.
Basically a little bit thicker than a pencil. So as you can see behind me, the wallpaper blends in with your environment.
Not everything here will eventually make it into your home, but many products could. Whether it's stringless guitars or robotic puppies, CES officially opens its doors tomorrow and has daily events and announcements until Friday. And in the future, robots may also act as companions in the home. Advocates say they can help keep you company, help you walk around, and alert authorities if you get sick or fall. They say that time is not that far away. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, for most, the first day of school, first day of work, we got through it, not maybe as cold as maybe we'd expect, but we went through quite a bit.
You know what? A bit of a slog, because Mondays, you know, for a lot of people, they're tough, but Monday after the holidays, then you throw in the snow, slippery conditions, a lot of fun.
Mother Nature was testing us all this morning for that drive. But the good news is for the drive home, it is significantly easier, at least for today. And then we kind of flip the script a little bit heading into the day tomorrow. It's an easier drive in, but a tougher drive home, thanks to a Colorado low moving in, bringing a messy mix right across central and southern Ontario. But for now, enjoy the reprieve. It's not too bad out there temperature-wise. And if you wanted to get out for a skate this evening, you're holding on to a pretty comfortable forecast. And it's a much easier drive when it comes to the weather, at least. I can't promise about the traffic, but at least when it comes to the conditions out there, it's not terrible. We're sitting right around the freezing mark right now. And we're holding on above seasonal overnight tonight and into the start of the day tomorrow. And that warmth is kind of holding on between Windsor to Toronto, and then that kind of GTA bubble. Then the further north and east you go from the GTA, the cooler it is. So as we see the system come in tomorrow, that's going to kind of indicate to a certain extent who's going to see what when it comes to the messy weather. But for tonight, we're dropping down to -5, staying above seasonal, even with that little hint of a wind chill. A little cooler still for our friends out through Bancroft and Kingston, still holding on to some flurry activity there. We start the day off tomorrow relatively clear. It'll be cloudy out there and mild. We're above seasonal right across the board. We should be at -2 and we'll sit at +2. There is a system that we had. It pushes its way into eastern portions of Ontario, but the next one is on its way as we head in towards the late morning and early afternoon tomorrow. And it brings snow, freezing rain, ice pellets, and a little bit of rain as we head throughout our afternoon. So it will depend very much on where you are as to what you see. But we are seeing some freezing rain warnings in areas in blue. We're not in one just yet for the GTA, but we are under a special weather statement for the possibility of that to develop. So as we time everything out for the rest of our evening, again, it is clear and fairly comfortable this evening. Getting into the start of the day tomorrow, at least for Toronto and the GTA, no issue when it comes to your weather. It all begins down for our friends through London. It's as we get into the late morning, early afternoon, likely to see some ice pellets, maybe a little freezing rain here in the GTA, and then it turns into more of a rain-snow mix. The colder air is going to hold on north of the city and east of the city, and that's where they see the majority of that. But still a messy drive for a lot of us when it comes to the rain or the rain-snow mix as we head in towards the evening. And we'll watch for those alerts as they're likely to kind of travel as the system travels. Getting in towards our Wednesday, though, a mostly overcast day, very mild, but we get a break from the active weather. Temperature-wise, we should be around -2 for the high, -9, -10 for the low. We are nowhere near that for this first full week of January. Again, a messy kind of second half to our day tomorrow. We get into Wednesday, lots of cloud cover. Thursday, a hint of sunshine. There's not a lot of sunshine, but there's a hint of it. But we get up to 5 degrees and we stay above seasonal right through to the end of the week. It does come with rain as we head through your Friday and Saturday, but up to 8 degrees Friday. We're holding on to this above seasonal trend as we kick off 2026. Hopefully this helps you plan. Michelle, I'll send it back to you.
Sure does. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Also tonight, another reason to slow down in school zones and lay off the illegal parking. Toronto police are on the lookout as part of a new enforcement campaign. Stay with us.
If you've ever put your trash to the curb and not had it picked up, you know the frustration.
You want that trash gone, but some households are having to be patient as the new privatized recycling collection system is sorting through some early issues. CTV's Mike Walker reports.
Blue bins overflowing, curbside pickup now days behind schedule.
It was supposed to happen Friday morning, and we're still waiting.
Homeowners voicing frustration following the rollout of Ontario's new privatized system for residential recycling collection.
Doesn't give us confidence going forward about how well the program is going to be run.
It's a disappointment, but I am a senior and I really don't feel like pushing the bin back into the backyard while it's full and while there's snow out.
As of January 1st, responsibility was transferred from the city to Circular Materials under provincial legislation. The company confirms that the miscollection in 2 city districts, that includes North York and East York, is an issue with GFL Environmental, which is contracted for curbside pickup. Circular Materials CEO stating GFL Environmental has confirmed that a subset of households in Districts 2 and 3 within the city did not receive recycling collection during their special post-holiday collection dates on January 2nd and 3rd, adding that residents were notified of the special collection date and that this special collection was scheduled outside the regular recycling pickup cycle to support increased recycling volumes following the holiday season.
The same company that's contracted by Circular Materials has been providing services to the City of Toronto for many years now.
City Councillor Josh Mallow has been fielding concerns from residents and calls the new program unacceptable.
The Premier broke recycling in the City of Toronto. He took a service that was reliable and being done well, and now incompetently he's left residents in this city without any service at all.
He's demanding more accountability and raising the issue with Circular Materials, the Mayor's office, and the Premier. Doug Ford vowing today to get the program right.
The company that's doing it, make no mistake, if it doesn't work, we'll change it.
The mayor said this weekend the city's hands are tied.
Go and look at the phone number on those recycling bins and call and say, what the heck is going on?
But some residents tell us those calls to Circular Materials have gone unanswered.
And that channel isn't as effective or efficient or staffed as well as 311.
Circular Materials says crews are mobilized and prioritizing collection that will be done this week, asking residents to leave their blue bins out on the curb. Mike Walker, CTV News.
Toronto police kicked off a parking enforcement campaign focused on school zones. The campaign runs through Friday and will focus on illegal parking near schools. Police will be monitoring at no stopping and parking zones, as well as crosswalks and school bus loading areas. Drivers are being told to allow extra time for drop-offs and pickups and to obey all signage. And GO train riders can expect more frequent service starting today. Weekday and weekend train trips had been reduced along the Lakeshore West, Lakeshore East, and Kitchener lines last month in anticipation of lower ridership over the holiday season. Also starting today, there will be more weekend and weekday service on the Milton, Richmond Hill, Barrie, and Stouffville lines. Metrolinx is encouraging people to check the schedules before traveling.
New data tonight shows Toronto community housing evictions are at a 10-year high.
Some tenants being forced out and supporters out calling for greater leniency to avoid even worse outcomes. CTV's Beth McDonnell has the details.
Shadman Rahman has lived in his Toronto community housing unit for more than 15 years, first with his parents and siblings, now his own family. He lives with symptoms of multiple mental health disorders, is on ODSP, and is facing eviction.
I have a 1-year-old infant child. It's not fair that my child has to face imminent eviction.
Rahman broke the rules of his tenancy. On a trip to get married, he says he allowed refugees needing a place to stay in his unit. He says they're gone now after refusing to leave for 2 years.
We're not ready to live on the streets, especially we just need stable housing.
Although evictions at TCH remain under 1%, they have reached a 10-year high in the city, 246 in 2015. Then, for those behind in paying, there was a moratorium during COVID. The latest data shows between January and October 2025, there were 391 evictions. Reem Saad and her mother also have serious medical issues and were evicted from their TCH unit over broken rules. Saad says it stems from 2 incidents, one violent involving her mother's guest and another that TCH claims was a guest and caused extensive damage to the building.
It was not our fault. If we said we're not going to allow this visitor to come, what are we going to do? We said, no, you're not allowed in. Thank God that everybody's taking us in, family, friends. We have a big support, but how long do we really expect them to really take us?
But despite tenants breaking the rules, some housing advocates argue eviction is still not the answer and will make homelessness worse.
It's a contradiction. We're not solving the problem.
While lead Kogali Ali says he's been referred to 10 eviction cases this year from around the city, he says tenants need better community and legal support to prevent losing their homes in the first place. And if the numbers continue to increase, be prepared.
We have more deaths. We will be impacted by the challenges that come with homelessness, specifically when it comes to abuse of drugs, when it comes to crime.
Toronto Community Housing Corporation says the increase in evictions stems from the backlog of cases during the pandemic, and its goal is always to keep people housed.
We have a responsibility to ensure our communities are safe and that all tenants are able to live comfortably in their homes. And when the actions of a tenant or their guests impact this, TCHC has to act.
It says staff take a lot of care to avoid evictions. It says rules need to be applied consistently to maintain safety. And while it can't speak to specific cases, it says evictions are a tool of last resort. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
After the break, Canada takes on Finland in the bronze medal match at the World Junior Championship in Minnesota. We have highlights coming up. North American markets opened today with a clear reaction to Washington's capture of Venezuela's leader on the weekend. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more.
Canadian oil stocks got battered today as investors worried about the impact of Washington running Venezuela, an oil-rich nation. The big Canadian oil stocks dropped between 5% and 7%. The concern is that under the U.S., Venezuela will release some of its oil reserves into the market and make the U.S. less reliant on Canadian oil. Canada currently exports about 4.5 million barrels of oil a day to the U.S. The uncertainty about the future of Venezuela sent investors into precious metals today. Both gold and silver traded higher. Both ran up to new highs last year on geopolitical upheaval, with the Trump administration threatening sovereign nations and imposing tariffs on trade partners. Vancouver home sales dropped dramatically in the last month of 2025. They were down almost 13% year over year. And when compared to the 10-year seasonal average, sales were down over 20%. The average home price in Greater Vancouver was still over $1 million. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 72.66. West Texas Intermediate is up $1 to 58.32. Western Canadian Select is up a dime to 43.93. And the TSX gained 336 points today to a new record close of 32,219. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
New data from the city is revealing just how much Toronto benefited from Taylor Swift bringing her Eras tour to town. The city says the 6 dates the pop superstar played here in the 6 brought in a total of $39.7 million for all 3 levels of government. 20% of that total, or roughly $8 million, benefited Toronto directly. The city says there were notable spikes in hotel occupancy and short-term rental demand during the tour dates as well.
The Toronto Raptors square off against Atlanta tonight for the 2nd time in 3 days.
Play matters. Quick, thought about it. RJ will and connects.
Toronto beat the visiting Hawks 134-117 on Saturday, and now the 2 teams will play at Scotiabank Arena again. The Raptors sit 4th in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta is in the 10th spot, 4.5 games back of the Raptors. Tip-off is shortly after 7:30.
Team Canada is on the ice right now, trying not to come home empty-handed from the World Junior Hockey Championship.
Plays that back down to Hage. He winds in and feeds across. McKenna with a shot. Tip score! O'Reilly with the deflection.
Canada scored on the power play in the 2nd period to take a 5-2 lead over Finland in the bronze medal game. But the Finns have since closed the gap to 5-3 with about 8 minutes to go in the 3rd. The Canadians were defeated in the semifinal by Czechia last night.
Austin Matthews is getting more recognition following his record-setting performance on the weekend.
Now a chance. McMahon, Matthews, and there is .421. And the Maple Leafs have a new all-time goal-scoring leader.
The Toronto Maple Leafs captain's been named the NHL's 3rd star of the week. Matthews broke Matt Sundin's franchise goals record on Saturday. He scored twice, the first tying Sundin's mark at 420 goals, and the second breaking it at 421. Matthews also had a hat-trick last Thursday in a win over Winnipeg.
Here's a record of a different kind. A bluefin tuna reeled in a record $4.4 million at a fish auction in Tokyo. The 243-kilogram fish, that's about 545 pounds, was caught off the northern Japanese coast. The winning bid came from a popular sushi chain and breaks down to about $18,000 per kilogram. The one threatened bluefin stock is recovering due to conservation efforts, Just ahead, a Canadian shakes up the world of bartending and wins the ultimate global championship. We raise a glass to the mix master after this short break. Patrons are toasting a Canadian bartender who has been named the ultimate bartender champion.
She beat out competition from North, South, and Central America to become the mix master. CTV's Christine Long has the story.
So it's like a nice little boozy wake-up.
Bartender Marie-Louise Roy-Bilodeau likes making custom cocktails, like this riff on a Negroni she nicknames a Monday morning.
I just like making something that my guests will enjoy.
She's been bartending 4 years and was encouraged by a boss to compete professionally, so she gave it a shot.
This year, I applied to do the Ultimate Bartender Championship. I won the Canadian leg, and that brought me all the way to Colombia for the final for North, South, and Central America. And I won that one.
The only woman in the finals, Roy Bilodeau, who is 27, says that the all-day competition included mixology, serving, and speed.
Their premise was skills pay the bills. So they created a bunch of challenges to test your day-to-day skills.
Day-to-day skills she's been perfecting at La Cantina Concha.
You had 5 drinks to make and a shot to pour as fast as you could.
Now named the ultimate bartender champion, Roy Bilodeau earned a retro varsity jacket, a big ring, and bragging rights that her boss is enjoying.
My boss has been like telling people sometimes, like we'll get customers and she'll be like, "Do you know that she's the best in the world?" I'm like, "Whoa, let's chill."
She jokes her ultimate bartender champion title only includes North, South, and Central America. A real world championship just might be in her mix for 2026. Christine Long, CTV News.
I say don't chill, enjoy that.
Yeah, I'd
Big
love
deal.
to try one of her drinks.
It'd be so fun. Maybe tomorrow night when the weather's kind of yucky and you're at home, it may be a fun thing to do. We got the bulk of our active weather to start our day. We get a break in the afternoon and evening, but tomorrow as we get into that second half of our day, after that morning commute, we watch for another dose of active weather, so just be careful. For now, it is cloudy, but it's relatively mild, so a comfortable evening if you wanted to get out for a walk or maybe go skating. But we are seeing a laundry list of watches, warnings, and statements for that freezing rain, the mixing, all of that as we head into the day tomorrow, thanks to that Colorado low. But for now, not our problem. We're sitting at 0 here in the city, no real issue when it comes to your temperatures, but the further east you go, it is significantly colder. Right now, Ottawa's sitting at -13, feeling like -22, whereas here in the city, we're just at the freezing mark. As we head into the day tomorrow, yes, it is messy, but it is mild. And by the time we get to Friday, more rain, but hey, it's up to 8 degrees.
8 degrees. We'll take it. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedini tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a great night.